What's up, y'all? Y'all are listening to Living Corporate's flagship podcast. If you didn't know, Living Corporate helps organizations build employee engagement and market trust through data analytics and data transformation, our e-learning platform, and brand marketing storytelling. We're so excited for you to be here today. The conversation you're about to hear is going to connect the dots between employee experience and go-to-market effectiveness. If you're not ready, get ready. Here we go. Oh man, yeah, you know what time it is. It's Angela Shaw, HR executive, speaker, mentor, constant learner, influencer, career reinventionist. Shoot, I don't even know what else. Overall dope person and my friend. Angela, how you doing?
Dak, I need you to introduce me every day, just even when we're not even doing a podcast.
I'll call you in the morning with it.
Yeah, and just, give it to me because I need it every day. Zach, I'm doing okay. I mean, things are hard right now, but I'm trying to stay positive and help other people be positive too.
Yeah, look, your energy is always appreciated. I think about the work that we've done and our relationship over now several years. I think about your experience and proven expertise in human resources and people strategy. I think I want to do a little bit of just like level setting, right? Because the Amplify Credit Union, the organization that you are a senior HR executive at, has been a client of Living Corporates now for over a year. And there's a few different things that we work on together. And I think I want to start by talking a little bit about our learning platform, right? I'd like to understand, what is it about the learning platform that had you say yes and interest in working with us? And then two, what is it that had you say yes to renewing that learning platform partnership?
Great question, Zach. Part of it's you. You're amazing. You're doing amazing work, and just wanting to support that because I know it's coming from a good place. I would also say I've been very intentional in our DEI journey for Amplify Credit Union. I'm very lucky that I get to lead this journey with the support of our exec team and our other managers. And I wanted to be intentional about what it looked like. So this is the second year of our journey that we have entitled Cultivating a Culture of Welcome. And when we brought on the learning platform last year, I was looking for something that all employees could participate in, that did not feel forced, that could be done really at any time. It didn't have to be during work hours. Anytime someone wants to go to the learning platform and learn something, that they would have the ability to do that. So that's what I loved about the platform. Also, the amount of information that's on there, the amount of content was just huge and amazing. And so just the ability to be able to use that. I wanted to create a strategy every year, these first few years that I've been at Amplify, that definitely continued to enhance our journey, but was also learning, but also didn't feel forced, problematic, or fake, right? So that's why I felt like the learning platform would be something good. So I don't know how much detail you want me to go into about how we use it, but I think the plan that we put together, even for how we use it, has been very effective and an easy way to integrate learning and information that's going straight to the employee.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you. And I appreciate your support of me personally and Living Corporate. I think what I get excited about, and I definitely want to talk about how you're using it, because what I get excited about is I think about our tool really, and it's funny because Janet Pope at Capgemini, her team, her ERG leaders call it like Spotify for DEI. And I was like, that's really catchy. And I don't think Spotify really going to sue me too soon. So I was like, I'm not going to put it on paper, but I do like saying it out loud. I think I like the idea of the fact that it's a repository of real frank conversations, to your point, a lot of content, 1,000 modules that you can search, because we've tagged and organized in such a way, and it's really broad, so that you can type in like inclusive leadership or wellness or women at work or whatever, and then curate your own experiences that you can then socialize out. I would love to hear more, because when I think about Amplify, when it comes to our learning solutions, I think Amplify has really modeled what a great use case is, really, frankly, for any size organization. Because to your point, companies will have a bunch of different learning resources and stuff out there, but it's kind of like, oh, well, check it out if you want to, whatever. Engagement around these tools is not a problem exclusive. That's a universal challenge, right? How do we create something that is easy to use, that people are excited about using? And so some of that has to do with the actual technology and accessibility, but then some of it has to do with the content. So I would definitely love for you to share more about y'all's strategy and how this tool, this platform, fit into how y'all shared learning information to Amplify.
Yeah, so when it comes to our DEI initiatives, our Cultivating a Culture Welcome, we do it at touch points. So how we provide information or interact with a person who comes into contact with our organization who works there is a touch point as a new employee in your employee cycle. And then as a manager, because managers need a little extra, right? Because they're responsible for a little more. And so we decided to curate kind of what you said, which was pick a theme and then curate a listening list, which is the comparison to Spotify, spot on, right? We could create a list based on that theme or that topic, and then we release that to the organization. And so we make it accessible to them. We do a monthly email where we talk about what the theme is. We include some other learning resources, and then we do our playlist. Like, here's your list. And we also include questions for engagement, questions that they could talk about as a team to interact around the podcast that they're listening to really help give this learning opportunity. And so it has been successful. We've had a lot of good feedback from employees that they like it. Also that they like that it doesn't feel like a forced touch point. And people argue when it comes to DEI initiatives about how you should do it or whatever. I picked something that worked for our organization that would still have effect, and it has still had effect. And so I'm really proud of that and the fact that we did that. And you alluded to people have learning resources that they don't always take advantage of, which is true because we have 2 other learning platforms, not specifically related to DEI, but just learning, right? And employees rarely go look at that. Like, they might even come ask us a question like, do we have anything on this or that? And then we go look at this learning resource and, hey, there's some things. So to your point, that is true. And we didn't want this DEI specific initiative to be like that. So we send it to their email box. We have a click on our intranet. Like, we're making it accessible in many different ways. And also throughout the year, maybe quarterly, certainly twice a year, we remind people of the topics that we had. And we're like, here are your links. Like, remember, you have this information at your fingertips. So giving them a regular diet, but not making it feel force-fed is what we're trying to do.
It's super dope. Like I said, I remember and shout out to Ashley Cunningham. I remember when Ashley showed me, and when we saw each other in person in Austin, we talked about it too. But Ashley actually showed me y'all's intranet page and how y'all designed it. And y'all had okay, look, this is the cultural moment of this month or this time. And here's the playlist that we've created coming out of the platform. And here's all the different content that we're going to couple with it. And what you also said was how you're socializing it out. And I do believe there is a responsibility from people teams to drive and champion accessibility, right? So yes, the tool needs to exist. Yes, employees have an accountability and responsibility to go get those tools. At the same time, we recognize that employees are working, just in general, it's not about Amplify, just that work productivity has continued to be on the rise over the decades right? So the stress and pressure of work continues to be present and increasing. Therefore, whatever tools and points of support that you provide need to be ready and accessible and clear, right? And so what excited me about the way that I saw how y'all were optimizing your license was not just hey, y'all, log in here, here's the link, check it out when you can, when you want to. It was no, we're going to program this, which is exciting to me.
Yeah, we didn't want to be like, I hope you found something you like, because there is a lot of content in there. So we did want people to be able to hone in on something specific, every month that they could have learning around. So it has been helpful, and we have really enjoyed just engaging with you and your team around the platform.
I also want to talk a little bit about, I think about living corporate as a firm, as a company, right? So we have essentially like these three pillars where we're supporting employee and customer experience. So we have the brand storytelling. That's really where a lot of people kind of know us from with the podcast. That's where you and I initially met, and continue to create great discussions and interviews there. We have the e-learning platform, which is us using our AI engine to transform this 1,000+ podcast library into e-learning modules that incredible clients like Amplify experience every day. But then we also have data transformation and insight work, right? Now, I'm going to ask the same question because every company that I know has some type of data lever, right? Most people are using something. Now, we can debate the efficacy of that something, but in 2024, most organizations have something that they're using to measure something at their company. Amplify Credit Union is no different. And yet, when I came to you and we had a conversation about living corporate's capabilities, you were open to working with us and leveraging that tool. So what was it about living corporate that made you say, you know what? Yeah, let's give this a try on the data side.
The learning platform was such a good experience. And also we had a need. So you also came at a good time. We just had a need because that is going to be the focus of the third year of this Cultivating a Culture Welcome initiative, which is our data and analyzing it and how we use that for decision making around future DEI initiatives and how we engage as an organization. And we did a little test run, which is always good. And it was great. And we loved it. And we loved the system and seeing the data come to life. Like that part was really amazing. I don't consider myself to be technical or even a analytic kind of person. To some extent, because you can't exist in this world and not. And of course, I'm a question asker, so you'd probably be like, I don't know what you mean about that because you didn't ask a bunch of questions about this data. But but I realized that it's now time in our journey for that too. So I think a lot of organizations where they go wrong is they try to do too much at once, or they try to be an overnight sensation when it comes to DEI and they burn out quick, or they give in from the pressure of the world around them. I recognize that it was a journey. So our first year was just finding language and normalizing conversation. Like, hey, y'all, it's okay for us to talk about this, right? The second year has been around really structuring the touch points and how people take in information about our stand on DEI as an organization. And then the third year, which will be next year, that we're coming on to this analytics part of what y'all do, is really about that. So now we're really going to take a deep look into our demographics, into our engagement surveys, and take that data to be able to make decisions about what comes next, or even to just give good insights about where we are in the journey or what we look like as an organization. And I think it's right on time. I feel like that's not something we should have tried to do the first year. I also think it's going to give us measurement. So it's a saying, what gets measured gets done, or something to that effect. And we know that measurement is certainly needed. So I think now that we're going to this part of the data, it will also help us with creating what this measurement looks like for us when we think about our success and our initiative and where we're going or what we've done as an organization.
When I think about the pilot that we did, I was excited because the first part of the conversation that I recall was y'all saying, we don't really have a lot, right? Like that was the postulate. We don't really have a lot of data. And I was like, y'all actually have a ton of data, right? And of course, we're not about to show y'all dashboard up on here. But what I can say is that what was so encouraging I think it's probably my favorite part of the work, truly, is that it's working with teams who are skeptical about, and not even skeptical about our capability, but
yeah, it wasn't y'all. We're skeptical about ourselves.
Watching.
I don't think we have enough to even do this.
And Angela, when I tell you the amount of that is the overwhelming initial reaction and position of so many people that we've worked with over the years is, okay, well, we only have hypothetically, we only have, gender and position and, let's say 3 more things. And I'm like, hey, that's actually plenty to get started and see where you're at. And so what was exciting to me was getting those data sets, which again, not giving yourself enough credit, plenty of great things. and then getting y'all's initial reaction to everything that came out. So to that end, right, like when you saw those initial dashboards and like kind of our walkthrough, like just what were your immediate thoughts?
Well, first of all, everybody likes something that looks good, that's like pretty, and it's definitely that. The learning platform too, just really pretty. But I think what we were most pleasantly surprised about is the connections that you were actually able to make with the data. I think it may be one of the first few times I've really seen like analytics at play and how you can really get information from it. Or maybe just in a good way that I've seen it at play being done well to say this is the actual information you can draw from the data. So I think that was probably our biggest pleasant surprise. But the other thing is when we shared it with some people outside of our talent team, the excitement that they also had about it too. So I already knew you were legit, but to also show you off in your company and what y'all can do off to other people and have them be equally excited, that was also really great. And saying like, can we do more? Like, what else can we do? What else can we get, right? In which we're going to next year. We are going to do more. So, that felt really good.
What was so dope to me was, and I also want to note in terms of like how Living Corporate works and the type of partners that we look for. I think data can often be such a sensitive subject, and rightfully so, right? It's sensitive information. I think sometimes folks can get a little territorial about, well, we can do this on our own. And what I appreciated from the beginning, I mean, this goes back to our relationship, is it's very transparent. Hey, Zach, we have a need here. So we're willing to give y'all a shot because we'd like to get a different view. So often I think, and this is more of like more of a leadership commentary, I think executive leaders can shortchange themselves and not wanting to seem like they need to learn something or that they can do something better. And so they they posture and act like, oh, we have teams that can do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, look, I'm not even saying that nobody in a company can't do what we do. Like, allow us to just be a point of support and acceleration to maybe some things you're already doing. And so for me, when I saw y'all's reaction and the fact that it was digestible to you, that's what excited me, right? There's so many data scientists out there and organizations who claim to do this work, and they give you a bunch of stuff and it looks very smart, but it's like, what is this? Like, what am I supposed to practically, actively do with all this information? I mean, and it's like sometimes the visualizations and the work almost seems like it's very busy, almost to like show a point of proof, like, see, we did some work. And it's like, yeah, I'm not questioning if you did the work. I'm trying to ask myself what I'm going to do with it. So the fact that you were able to take it to your team, the fact you were able to take it to people outside of your talent team, outside of the talent team, that for us was a testament and a win. Like, okay, we checked that box,
Yeah, because it's what is this data telling us that I don't know? And then what do I do with that? What the data's telling us. And that really was, I think, a great connection point for us. And also, we're not talking about this, but you said something I want to talk about a little bit, which is how a leader, an exec, or people in HR do more. It doesn't always mean you individually do more, or you try to do things that are not in your wheelhouse or not things that you're good at. You do more by getting help, right? Build, borrow, or buy is a phrase, right? Do we build it ourselves? Do we borrow it from somebody else, or do we buy it? To do more, that's always the choice. And so, like in this case, we want to do more. You had you can do more for us. Hey, we're going to get into a partnership. That doesn't make me look less. It actually makes me look more, right? And I think that a lot of times leaders or executives don't think about it like that. They do think it means something personal about them, that in a negative way, but it doesn't. You're doing more. And so that's what I want to do. That's why we have budgets. That's why we ask for budget. It's for stuff like this.
Come on.
We don't necessarily have expertise or the bandwidth. Maybe we could do it, but we just don't have the bandwidth, right?
Yeah.
We go out and partner with people that help us do that. That's a good business decision.
Listen, I think so too. Listen, I'm going to say this, right? So quick personal story, and I'm going to bring it back though. So, growing up, my mom and I, it was mostly just me and my mom. So, we lived in townhomes. And one of my mom's biggest things was, I eventually want you to live in a house. Like, I want to buy a house. I want you to live in a house that's just that sits on its own. So I bought my own. So I bought a home. I was like 22, bought my first house, really excited about it, whatever. I very quickly realized and then went on, paid that house off. Let me tell you something. I paid that house off, Angela. I felt like anyway, we'll talk about it another time. So pay the house off, whatever. So then we get, and what I learned is like, and maintaining a home. We've since bought another home, and it's significantly larger than the first, about like more than twice the size of the first house. And what I've learned about like home ownership is, look, there are a lot of things you can do in terms of the maintenance of your home. There might be certain things that you should be able to do in the maintenance of your home. And you can make a choice. Like, do you want to do this thing depending on its complexity? You want to get on YouTube and try to kind of teach yourself, or do you want to bring in somebody, right? Example. So in our 2-story home, we got a window, and like, it's just like a open pane. So when you drive by in the middle of the day, you can kind of see part of the stairs because it's like this big window thing. And at nighttime, if the lights are on and it's dark, you can definitely see right into the house. Okay. So I've been over here trying to ask myself, like, man, I think what I might want to do is like get a frosted window or frost the window, or do a one-sided window or something, because I'm taking the girls upstairs for bedtime, and I don't want people seeing us go up the stairs out at late night, whatever. Okay. Now watch this. I have choices. I'm the homeowner.
Yeah.
I can go on YouTube and look at my options on how I want to get a ladder, go on up here on this perch and figure out how I want to do this window, or I can identify a partner to help me do that. And watch this. I invite risk when if I make a decision to try to do all that by myself. I'm the breadwinner in my household. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife that depends on me. So if I go up that ladder and I fall and I'm injured or worse, well, then that's a problem. Or let's say I don't get hurt, but I try to fix the window myself and I do it wrong. Let's say I try to fix the window and I break it. Well, guess what? Now I got to bring somebody in anyway to fix the window.
Right.
Or I have another option I could do. I could find an expert who does this for a living to bring it in. I'm trying to make it plain. That's what in the church, you make it plain, and watch this. The person that comes into my home to do whatever the work it is that we've agreed to in line of scope, Angela, when they fix my window, does it all of a sudden make them the homeowner? No. They're just a person to help. And I think so often when it comes to like business, and especially like people strategy work, but strategy work, period, right? It's not just about people, HR type work or people work. I think business owners, operation leaders would be better served to see themselves as like homeowners. Like, you have opportunities to bring in and mobilize resources to help the overall maintenance and upkeep and enhancement of your home to increase value, right? And that's really what it's all about.
I will say, though, I feel like other parts of the business have an easier time doing it. They usually have better budgets because they're money-making parts of the business. I would say that HR is a part of any organization that it's harder to get good budget to partner with other people. And so like your ability to recognize the importance of that, the value in it, and then ask, right? Because I do think other parts of the business, they always get better budget and they have an easier time saying, I need this outside help, right? Yep. Historically, like in organizations I've worked in, that's been the norm.
Yeah, no, that's fair, right? That HR has a harder time to like prove out, right? And to your point earlier about Amplify, you've been uniquely blessed, positioned, supported, sponsored, because also you are like exceptionally talented. So I think I really think you're an easy person to sponsor and support, but that's a webinar for another day. Let's talk a little bit.
That's our career progression conversation.
That's our career progression conversation. We talk about it. Yeah, for sure. So look, I wanted to kick this off because this specifically is a part of a campaign series where we're like amplifying, no pun intended, the work of our clients and the journeys that we've been on together. And what I always credit you with is you're a future forward leader, right? So you understood and understand the value of accessible, approachable, practical learning experiences, cost effective learning experiences before the, what's the word, attack on DEI, before the radical, like before a lot of things are like, as these things are like radically shifting in different directions. You are already interested in that. You are already interested in recognize the need for data-driven insights for your organization before things were pivoting. Before, like, I do want to talk a little bit about the future of work, and about one, what you're holding in this moment in light of this new administration, and what do you believe that means for people leaders, and how HR can better show up or best show up in this new landscape.
Yeah. So I think personally, I'm holding on to real fear of what is in the future. I think we don't know, and we're not ready for what it's really going to be. So there's real fear there for sure. I do think, though, that like always, that whoever's been doing the work is going to keep doing the work. That is not going to change because, we talk about the cycle of before DEI was popular, like before George Floyd, there were those of us that were still doing the work then because there was a need for it, right? And so we continued that through George Floyd, all the other Black people who have been killed, all the other groups of people who have been attacked recently, whether it's LGBTQ community or women's rights or what, always been doing the work, right? And so even after the repercussions of this election start to formulate, even though they already are, right, we're still going to be doing this work. So that's what I would say to anybody, people leaders, people in HR, the fortitude. You're gonna have to have fortitude to keep doing this work, because I do think some repercussions are going to formalize that we are not ready for, that we didn't know were going to come. We, not being us, me and you, but other people who are going to be surprised. And I'm not being funny to say white people, like that's not what I mean. I mean, anybody who voted for this administration for whatever reason, not really being informed, I think is going to be very surprised about the repercussions of that and what's going to come forward. So I think just acknowledging that, and again, that fortitude that we've always had and needing it. And then I would say personally for me, trying to take care of myself to be able to continue to do this work is a real thing. And that is what I would tell anybody who's doing the work. Like, you're going to have to take care of yourself more than ever before. And that is real.
Yeah, no, the investment, it's interesting because this season, to your point about the first thing you said, just acknowledging and honoring the fear that you have. And I think all of us, we were carrying some degree of that in this moment. I've talked to several other CHROs, CDOs, COOs, CEOs on and off the record who've shared similar sentiment. And I think that, this is going to be a season where people investment is actually going to be more critical than ever. There's a real sense, and people kind of been saying psychological safety, been sprinkling psychological safety over everything, like parsley at like a hood restaurant. But it is a thing, and it's important. What's up? Go ahead.
Is there parsley at hood restaurants? Like, I don't.
They always sprinkle the parsley on top of the stuff. It don't matter what it is. It make when they sprinkle a little parsley on top, make it look fancy. That's the goal.
Make it look fancy.
You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Yeah, to make it like a little
I'm sorry,
green.
we just had to go. We had to go
anyway.
left just a little. Okay.
No, just a little bit. I didn't have to say it, so whatever. But there's this real thing of like, oh, hey man, people are not feeling safe at work. People do not feel like that people have families who might be mixed status. They might have all sorts of things. They have children. They're caregivers, right? They have family members with disabilities that they're trying to support. There's all types of things that they're trying to figure out. Okay, what does this mean for me? And all of these life shifts and distractions, those things can directly impact, and likely will directly impact how employees are able to show up at work. And so Now more than ever, people leaders need to be working strategically with their leadership to get the investment, not only for their employees, but to your point, also for themselves.
Yes. And what I love about what we've tried to do at Amplify is, without even knowing this, we've already been trying to prepare ourselves and our leaders for that, to be able to have these conversations, to be able to hold space for their employees. Because anytime you do DEI work, good work, and you have initiatives and you're committed to that, that is actually the very thing that you're already doing. You're trying to help your managers provide space for your people. And now, guess what? They're going to need it more than ever. So how do you normalize conversations about all these things that you just said, Zach, that feel very hard, not normal, conflictive, politically divisive, right? People, that's how they feel about trying to have a conversation and be like, I have real fear about what my future in this country is like.
Listen.
And that should not, it should be normalized. It shouldn't be made to be negative because you say that. Like, you should be able to come to tell your boss that.
Listen, when I tell you, I think about the seasons where I had a 9-to-5 job. I'm working for somebody, and the morning I'm headed to work, and I get accosted and pulled over by police. Hey, guess what? Whether I tell you about that, whether I share that experience with you or not, that's now going to impact how I now show up at the workplace.
Yes.
You think about, like, there's an employee who might be a first generation American or might have undocumented folks in their family.
Yes.
Okay. They're going to be carrying that while they're doing your little TPS reports.
Yes.
They're going to be carrying that when they're sitting around in these presentations, and there's going to be real stress that comes with that. And there's a distraction, right? A violent, sad distraction. And so I think that's where it's like this idea of, like, well, politics, you don't have to bring politics in the workplace. It's like politics, I think in so many tangible ways, politics is what happens to you. It's what's enforced upon you.
Right.
And so we can't be, like, dismissive or minimalistic in these conversations. And we have to adopt a systems mindset. So yeah, your company's policies may not have changed, but the policies within which your employees live and activate and move around have changed. And so you have to be thoughtful about what that means. Even if you're going to just be cynical and reductive and extractive and only think about it from the perspective of productivity and revenue generation. Even if that is your context, you still owe it to yourself from a fiduciary perspective to be thinking about the impact. And you still, if you even care about, again, just your bottom line, you got to think about that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if your people don't show up at work, your bottom line doesn't matter. Or if they show up to work and they're not productive, because we could have taken this 15 minutes to give some space to allow you to be able to then concentrate on your day, that's going to affect the bottom line. And I think, people just don't like to put human emotions around topics like this, like somebody's life being affected. And that's why they label it political and say, we don't talk about politics at work, because they don't want to allow space for someone to be human and things that are actually affecting them as a human that they just consider roadblocks to their bottom line.
And it's like you have parents, let's say you have some kids and your kids are differently abled. Okay. And those policies shift and change, and all of a sudden you have to show up differently for your child for the education. Well, guess what? Now that employee is not going to be engaged the same way at your job because they're distracted and they are rightfully reprioritizing their children.
And acting like it doesn't exist doesn't make it go away. Not
at all. In fact, it can exacerbate it.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Look, I feel like we could go on and on. I think I want to say, I want to wrap this by saying, one, I'm not only excited about the work that Amplify Credit Union continues to do. I'm honored at the role that Living Corporate is playing to support and be a part of that journey and that story, whatever small part that we're able to share with that. When I think about the future of work, and I think about Amplify Credit Union's goal to drive a culture of welcome, I believe y'all are very much so the model. It's so funny because so many times I do these talks and I'm on panels and things. People say, is there any company that you think is doing it right? And I do believe Amplify is one of those companies.
There's this credit union in Texas. And I feel like you need to say that if you're not in Texas, for sure.
Yes.
With how people think about Texas. But I will say we're not perfect, but I think we really do try to model the behavior of this is a journey. Like, it's not an overnight sensation. And our goal is to keep moving in that journey, right? We're not going to stop. And even with budget cuts or whatever, it's not going to be my DEI budget. Where else can I find this money? Because that is not going to be the budget that we cut, right? And I'm very intentional about that part, because I think that the work that we put into our cultivating a culture of welcome is really not about DEI. It's about how we show up as humans and how we treat one another, and how we give space to each other. And I think that that is worthy of budget, and that is not where the cut needs to take place, because I want us to continue on this journey and get better. That's my future of work.
That's a mic drop is what that is. Angela Shaw, again, dynamic person, and more, I'm going to say selfishly, most important, my friend. Angela, we will talk soon. Thank you so much for being a part of this campaign. So thank you so much for joining me on this webinar.
Thank you, Zach, for this space and for the work that you're doing and for your partnership. It is important and it is needed.
Thank you. Peace.
Living Corporate is a podcast by Living Corporate LLC. Our logo was designed by David Dawkins. Our theme music was produced by Ken Brown. Additional music production by Antoine Franklin for Musical Elevation. Post-production is handled by Jeremy Jackson. Got a topic suggestion? Email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and living-corporate.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.